because you want. I'm gonna tell you guys straight up, like you guys want to be past that minute mark, because if you have more than 10,000 followers on TikTok, you can start getting paid for having. Yeah, it's like 70 cents per view, per qualified view. Yes. Keep that in mind. I'm serious. It's yeah, because us as content creators, bro, we gotta monetize. There's like a fine line there that I'll get into in a little bit, but as an audience member, when I started viewing it as the audience, I started being able to generate much more views by being like, okay, this is what I would actually want to see. This is what like stops me. It's not even like clickbaity. It's just like, this is generally good information. And I had this English teacher in high school. They basically just said, remove the fluff, dude. Like, quit being. I would write out like an essay, and they'd be like, dude, I could read half of this in 3 sentences, or you don't need all this crap, you know. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna that, and that's what I do to my scripts now. Is like every sentence needs meat on it, you know. So in that time, that's when I learned every sentence needs meat. Every action needs to be important. And then that's when things started ramping up. And I would say I moved to Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube in the past like year and a half, which is kind of crazy. I was like really invested in Facebook, which is something that like you wouldn't really hear a content creator say. But Facebook was pretty awesome. But I know that like it just kind of led to this uproar of content creators being really upset and realizing that's not where they can like actually make their home. And they had to like branch off. So then a bunch of people branched off from Facebook, myself included. And that's when I started seeing like results on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and like started delegating too. Cause I felt like I was like, man, I'm generating income. I know this was a question about like 3 years ago. We've kind of just
no, it's good. It's good. Right. This is interesting, honestly.
Yes. We've generated income. Now, how can we take that income and like move it back into the system to where like, even if I hire like a viewer or somebody that really appreciates everything, how could like we all work together to keep like making this thing bigger and bigger and bigger, you know? So it's like taking that monetization, delegating those tasks. And now we're at the point where we're starting to grow. It's like, hey, I need you. I want to hire you, pay you. Please, would you like to do this? Or even to the point where I'm like, can I teach you how I do it? So if you could do it even as close to as how I do it and how I think or what I think is good, then we could get something going on here. Because I could pass it to you, you get it done. I could work on either making the content, writing the scripts or whatever, and then you could edit or create thumbnails or whatever it be. But it's really interesting how the whole content creator journey started with just me and like wanting to play video games to moving into like this kind of business mindset where at one point it's like everything shifts and you have to move with the times and you have to start delegating. And I feel like that's just kind of where it's at now. Hopefully in the next 5 years, it'll turn into something that's beyond me, but we'll find out.
There's something interesting. Yeah, definitely. There's something interesting you mentioned about, would you watch that? Is this enough to stop you and say, yes, this is great content? Right. And I was listening to another podcast by Chris Williamson called Modern Wisdom. And he was the same in terms of the content he was creating. He found out, would I watch this kind of content? And he completely repositioned how he was, or what post he was putting out regarding content. And to your point, it also changed how he was growing and how people started to stop and engage with his content as well. So that was the first thing I wanted to say. And then the second thing is, you're right. You know, what is it called? The more hands make. Oh, I can't remember the
delegation thing. Oh
yeah. I can't remember, but more hands. You know,
more people is better.
Yeah, essentially in that unsophisticated way. I was trying to, sound really sophisticated.
Cut out the fluff.
More hands and more fingers, bro.
Cut out the
so
fluff.
like cut out the fluff. He's right. Yeah. The more people you have, the greater you can scale, and it's as simple as that. And it's great that you saw that at that point where you said, okay, maybe I can, use what we're getting right now to hire or delegate in order to because you can't do everything and there's always I listen to so many business podcasts and they always say they had a hard time letting go, but once they did, things just ramped up. They ramped up. And they also found people who could do that job better than them, so they could focus more on the strategy and the whole business outlook and overview in terms of where they were going. So I think that's a lesson to everyone. Just like if you get to that point, obviously, if you're not at that point, focus on what you can do and doing it well. I was telling Jesse before we came on in the green room is that, you know, this podcast is audio. We do have some video clips, but primarily just because of resource, we just do the audio and then do the video clips with the guests as well. But hopefully, as we also start to scale and hopefully as we grow to build full podcast episodes, as it were. So no, I definitely agree, and thank you very much for sharing that. I know there's a lot of our listeners are content creators. So again, we just love to hear that. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I'd like to extend to you guys too, like, or anybody out there really listening. I love giving editing tips. I'm like, if there's one thing I needed to figure out on how to do is edit as fast as possible, bro. Like I can't mess around. I need like videos to be in the cloud. I need hotkeys and just boom, 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 boom. So like, because I can't spend that much time on videos at all, dude. Like if we're spending too much time on the videos itself, I would say that's the first thing that kind of needs to be outsourced is the video editing itself. Because you guys understand, you guys get it, you know, just like how you're saying, editing the video.
Takes a while.
It's a lot. It's a lot, especially like for podcasts.
Ed wakes up in cold sweats.
No, that actually happened to me once. It wasn't for the video; it was for the audio. I was like, "Oh, I haven't edited a podcast." I literally woke up at 1 a.m., came to my laptop, but I've got to the point where I'm so efficient now in terms of audio editing. Like I could, what used to take me, they usually say spend for every 15 minutes of for every 30 minutes of podcast is 15 minutes of editing. I think I've cut that down to maybe 7.
Damn.
Yeah. Because I can literally see the wavelengths. I can see where I know the laughs are and all those things. So because I can just see that, I can just go to that place, cut it, snip it, and then edit it. So yeah.
That's pro. And also, I just like kind of wanted to go back really quickly. There was like a part of me, I don't know about you guys, but like I will listen to, if I don't have time to read an anime or there's like a manga that's out that I'm not like super interested in, but a lot of people, there's been like a hype around it. I'll listen to it on YouTube, you know, and like you guys ever like listen to those videos where like they just explain the manga?
Yeah, like you do sometimes on your channel. Yeah,
exactly. So that was the content that I loved like a lot. And I guess like as viewers and content creators, we understand ourselves the best, right? Or at least we should. And then we could just like look and be like, oh, you know what? I love when things get explained to me. What if I could explain things to people within a minute and 30 seconds? It's kind of equivalent to how these guys explain it to me in like 10 to 20 to maybe even an hour. You know, like how can I do that? How can I constantly give that dose? And that's fun. But there's one thing that those guys do that I don't, and it's like they put me to sleep, dude. It's like lullabies, bro. I'll manga underneath my pillow and I'll just like go to sleep, bro. No cold sweats for me, dude.
It's so funny. I remember the first time. So Ed is the primary editor for the podcast. Thank you very much, Ed. And,
thank you, Ed.
Sometimes when I think obviously as with everything, we will need breaks. So Ed went off and he had a little break, and I did a podcast, a solo podcast by myself. And I said, don't worry, I can learn how to edit it. It'll be fine.
I can do this.
I can do this. Jesse, I struggled.
Oh, my boy.
It was a mess.
Oh, no.
To the point. I cut off the last 5 minutes of the podcast.
You're like, I can't do this, man.
I sent it to Ed. I was like, oh, it's done. And then he messaged me back. Why did it just cut off at the end? Like, you're just mid-conversation.
Where's the outro, bro?
Where's the ending? How's this end? I said, it ended. What are you talking about? I ended properly. No, you didn't. I said, no, I recorded it. I was fuming when
he was adamant. Yeah,
I was like, this guy is trying to insult me. He's trying to insult my attention. And then I pressed play. Got the scrubber. Went to the end, and I think the ending was just like, yeah. So like, there's a couple of things I just want to
cut. It's like, oh, wait a minute.
And it arguably was the most interesting section as well. Like, honestly, man.
Next time on Suuuper Podcast.
Exactly. Don't worry, look. It's a new technique of keeping people locked in. That's what it is.
Oh damn!
Yeah, right. It's a new technique. I like it, bro. Yeah, anime's do it. Why don't we?
Exactly.
Just cut it off, bro.
Just cut it off.
Yeah.
Oh gosh! But you mentioned about the commentary. Like I said, that's how I found out your videos, and I really enjoy them. How long does it take you to create that content? Is it just more so because you've watched the anime, or you're doing research? Because some of them are like, because I saw a Solo Leveling one, and I was like, spoilers, so I didn't want to watch that one. But there's a Blackbeard one, lots of One Piece, which I love because we'll get to One Piece, but just in general.
There's a little process behind it. It's like I guess maybe it's got really simplified because we've been doing those videos for about like 6 months now. But basically I will watch the episode and like I'll just kind of like have a notepad handy or like my laptop or whatever, and if I could watch it in dubbed, that would be great. But subbed, like I usually have to read it, pause it, write down, constantly keep going back and forth. But I try to look for anything that like really piques my interest. I'm not talking about like the small things. Like we will recap episodes, but I really want to grab stuff that's like, what is this? And I ask myself, what was that? Please explain that to me. So then I will figure out that moment. I will go and like look in the past of like everything I can pull up and like just find how can I explain this to myself? Because I get like hyper obsessive sometimes, not to segue too far off, but perfect examples when Thanos first came into the MCU, and like you just see him like, and he turns around his chair, he's like, and I'm like, what? Who's this guy? And dude, I read Infinity Saga like almost immediately overnight, bro. Like I was hooked, dude. But that's basically the same stuff. So I'm like, how can I find those moments and explain it to viewers so that way they're like, oh, I get it, like that makes sense, and then. Also on the other side, it's just a recap. So I'll watch the episode, look out for those moments, type it out. Then once I have like a bare bones script, I'll type like kind of like how I said, each sentence has juice. I keep going, go until I think it's about like a minute to a minute and 30 seconds. Then I'll hit like a clock button, record myself just saying it to myself, make sure it's like a minute to a minute and 30 seconds. Because I'm going to tell you guys straight up, like you guys want to be past that minute mark. Because if you have more than 10,000 followers on TikTok, you can start getting paid for having, it's like 70 cents per view, per qualified view. Yes. Keep that in mind. I'm serious. It's because us as content creators, bro, we got to monetize. So I always make sure to make it above a minute. Yeah. And then on YouTube, we have to cut it down to be less than a minute because YouTube's not with the times, man. They stick to
shorts is less than a minute.
Yeah. I'm like, come on, man, at least make it a minute 30. But then I will go into it, record pieces of the episode. This is what I used to do because like I said, we started delegating, but I would record all the pieces of the episode that I thought I needed. I would take it into my timeline, cut to all the words, make my face pop up and show the dialogue and then show the anime. Well, now after I write the script, I record it, it uploads to the cloud where my editor in a different part of the US is at. He will download it from the cloud and then he'll edit it the same exact way that we both agreed was the best way to edit it. And then we'll talk about a time to post it. I'll come up with a headline and then we'll get going. There's also like really important things that we do with those videos. For example, like what's the first sentence? What's the first two sentences? Because it sets up the entire premise of the video.
The hook. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. People need to know what they're getting in for and how like interested they are to start watching it. Also, I really like to start off if you go back and look through, you usually see a face within the first like 0.2 seconds of like my video. For some reason, when people see faces like on thumbnails or like right off the rip, like they just get more hooked in, so it's like we try to add a face, we try to do that, and then we try to explain as good as we can with no fluff, and then at the end we just loop it back, and then that's the win. That's usually what we do.
Hi, it's Ed, host of Suuuper Anime Podcast. That's super with 3 U's. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching this full clip. We really appreciate it. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. It takes a moment for you, but means the world to us. And if you enjoy that, why not try one of these? I'm sure you enjoy that also. And as always, if you want to hear the full episode, check out the full audio podcast in the description below. Until next time, peace.